Thank you for inviting me to speak to you today. Since 1913, the ADL has been on the front lines of combating anti-Semitism and bigotry, and I am proud to support them and support you in that battle. As a member of Congress, I am called to introduce and pass legislation that will help the ADL tackle the escalating climate of antagonism and hatred experienced by the Jewish community and others. Since being sworn into office, I have worked diligently to combat many forms of hate, including the evil of anti-Semitism. Two pillars of my work include legislation providing educational resources to teach about the Holocaust and the fight against the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement targeting Israel. Last year, the Never Again Education Act was signed into law. This bipartisan legislation provides the fundamental resources, education, and training for teachers and students to learn about the horrors of the Holocaust and to encourage us to live in a world that respects religion, race, and human life. Anti-Semitism is increasing in our country and indeed throughout the world, and we must remember that fight against this kind of hatred is an American endeavor and does not belong to just Republicans or just Democrats. It's on all of us. We must never forget so that never again will be the reality. Along with my work to support education on the Holocaust, I have worked to protect Israel from the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement, which is a direct attack on Israel and its existence. And I supported HRES 246 as a part of that. Furthermore, I condemned a first ever blacklist of companies who have ties to Israeli communities in Judea and Samaria. The UNHRC's bigoted database of companies who provide services to those living in the Israeli communities located in Judea and Samaria is a perfect picture of irony. While they target Israel, they ignore businesses in the world's other disputed territories. This blacklist is a roadmap for those who support the BDS movement against Israel and only encourages a harmful pattern of condemnation. For the second session in a row, I introduced a bipartisan legislation amending the United States Code to criminalize lynching and provide for enhanced sentencing under existing federal hate crime statutes. H.R. 1727, the Emmett Till and Will Brown Justice for Victims of Lynching Act, would recognize that a lynching offense is a tool used to intimidate and deny civil rights based on personal prejudices. In 2020, the text of this bill was amended into the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, which passed the House the same year. This year, we need to get out of the House and the Senate and signed into law. The ADL has a long history of fighting all forms of hate and discrimination, to include fighting the KKK, and I thank you for that. Counsel for the ADL, Morris Abram, was instrumental in drafting laws that combated the Klan, who were known for using lynching as a crime of intimidation. While we cannot undo the injustices of the past, we can ensure that those committing this terroristic crime in the future will be sentenced accordingly. Our country has seen a rise in domestic terrorism, and I am supporting a bill to ramp up the federal response to it. H.R. 350 clarifies the legal definition of domestic terror and establishes domestic terror units at Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, and the FBI, among others. While the language of this bill identifies certain groups as examples for specific reporting requirements, we will ensure that it covers all forms of domestic terrorism. And I'm proud to work with Brad Schneider from Chicago, a friend of mine from across the aisle, in this endeavor. I'm also once again a co-sponsor of the No Hate Act, which incentivizes state and local law enforcement to submit credible and complete hate crimes reports, creates grants for state-run hate crime hotlines, and helps law enforcement more effectively address hate crimes, and allows for judges to require community service or educational programming for individuals convicted under the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act. I am eager and I'm humbled as a member of Congress to work with the ADL on combating anti-Semitism and bigotry. We do it through education, we do it through legislation, and we use our voices where we can. It is my ultimate prayer that someday my help won't be needed and the ADL's mission of eradicating hate will be accomplished. We must continue to show our support We must call out anti-Semitic attacks and hatred wherever we see it. Again, thank you for inviting me to speak today. God bless you.